Welcome back to Trash Plays Marvel Champions. So today we're not going to be playing anything, we're going to be unboxing the Marvel Champions expansion, Fear No Evil, so that's going to be pretty exciting. Now, it's been a while since I actually recorded anything with my camera, and that's because it's so freaking hot, and I do not really feel like playing anything, to be completely honest. But this kind of changes things up. So, Marvel Champions Fear No Evil, this is a 276 card expansion featuring Daredevil and Echo. And the villains are Bullseye, Electro, Hammerhead, Purple Man, Bloody Mary, and Kingpin. That is 6 villains, and I believe there are also 6 scenarios. Yeah, it comes with 6 villains and 6 scenarios, which normally there's only like 5. So that's pretty cool. And I believe you can like mix and match them. I did read the initial like reveal article for Fear No Evil, and I basically avoided spoilers. Well, every other article and spoiler after that. So I don't really know what to expect because I don't really remember the article, to be completely honest. All I remember is that I had predictions for how Echo and Daredevil would work, and I was wrong about both of them. All I remember is my failures, that's right. So, let's get these stickers off. I see we're still using the no plastic wrap, and we're just using these plastic stickers instead, that's fine. And what do we have? Fear No Evil, the pamphlet, and I don't actually know why this cardboard thing is in every box, but I keep them for some reason. Let's take a look at this pamphlet first, the rule book, because there's something I'm curious about. The main thing I'm curious about is at the very end if there's going to be a spoiler as to who or what the next box is going to be. You can't make us out bad guys smarter. There's traffic jam footage. That's our cue. See you in court. Okay. This does not look like it is going to give us a hint as to what the next box is going to be, unfortunately. But that's okay. So, is there any new... Oh yes, the campaign setup. That's the other thing I was curious about, because it seemed like there was... when the first article released, there was a lot of speculation about there not being that many campaign cards. So, what is the campaign setup? Unlike other Marvel Champion campaigns, the order of these scenarios is not fixed. Instead, the players choose which scenario to play after each game. To begin the campaign, they must choose their heroes, blah blah blah. Campaign log is found on page 28. Is that just the very back? I'm assuming this is the very back. Yeah, this is the very back of it. So you have player 1's identity, completed, scenario, art heist, getaway, protection racket, raft breakout, stop the presses, list of villains, and allies and persona supports removed from the campaign. I'm assuming this is if Bullseye kills someone, because, you know, Bullseye kills people. Trust established / Mary defeated for Typhoid Mary. And 1, 2, and fail. Don't know what that's about. Before choosing each scenario, including the first 2 of the scenarios that haven't been resolved yet, are chosen at random. These scenarios progress. This is explained in detail in the campaign setup as the villain continues with their plot while the heroes occupy somewhere else. If the scenario progresses too much, the players automatically fail that scenario and receive a penalty for the rest of the campaign. Oh, you automatically... Oh, so it's like you choose to play a scenario, but then somewhere else, the other scenarios are being failed. Okay. Okay, so this is all like happening simultaneously-ish. Losing a scenario does not automatically cause it to fail and may be attempted again. Conversely, winning a scenario earns the players a benefit for the rest of the campaign. Once all 5 interchangeable main schemes either completed or failed, the players take on Kingpin in a final showdown. Wait, so you can fail it, but then you still can try again? Don't really get that. Each interchangeable main scheme has a corresponding environment card. These cards are double-sided with a completed side and a failed side. The completed side indicates which benefits the players gain by playing and winning that scenario. The failed side indicates what penalties the players suffer if the scenario has failed. So in the campaign log, progress each scenario matching a drawn environment by marking the first box next to it. If there was only 1 environment drawn, mark 2 boxes instead. If a scenario has 3 X's next to it, it has failed. So basically, you choose a scenario, let's say I'm doing the raft breakout, and then these 2 might have marks next to it progressed, and if it gets to 3, you fail it. Let's take a look at the cards, and maybe that will enlighten me. So these are going to be player cards. This is not player cards, and not player cards. Where is Echo? Okay, this one's Echo, this one's Daredevil, and Daredevil is... This is not Daredevil, this is Kingpin, okay. This is Daredevil, okay. Daredevil's still a little bit bigger. Just a little bit bigger. So let's take a look at the... Well, not Kingpin, because he's not going to have a completed or whatever thing. I guess the art museum heist. This would be a scenario. So if we open this up, I see we're still using the wax paper sort of card thingy containers. Although this seems like it's a little sturdier than the previous one that I did. Like the previous one that I opened had like, this was just coming apart basically already. Whereas this is more like glued. So you have the art museum heist, content choose an underling, I don't care. Set up findings and characters, set up art thing, I don't care. So this is main scheme. These are just main schemes. Where is the environment? Getaway. Actually, it's probably easier to look for it from back here. Main scheme. Main scheme. Where the heck are these environments? Okay, so it's not in here. Maybe it's in the Kingpin one. Stop the presses, raft breakout, protection racket, getaway, art museum. Okay, so these are the environments for the campaign play. So failed setup, deal each player one face down encounter card in expert mode, 2 encounter cards instead. That's pretty bad. And then for the completed side, set up each player puts 1 daily bugle support that has not been removed from the campaign into play from the stop the presses encounter set. That's significantly better. Wow, you can make this way easier for yourself. Raft breakout failed. Shuffle each minion in the raft breakout encounter set into the encounter deck in expert mode. Deal 1 of those minions at random to each player as a face down encounter card before shuffling in the rest. And then for the completed, after resolving mulligans, each player may search their deck and discard power for an ally and add it to their hand. In expert mode, each player who did so discards 1 card from their hand. That's not as good, but sure. Well, I'm still confused as to how you're supposed to actually do the completed side, but whatever. Moving on. So, for the main scheme, for the art heist, you have 9 cards, and it stands to reason then after that is the getaway, yep, with 8 cards, and I guess, so this is just the encounter sets for the main schemes in this pack. Imprisoned and stop the presses, yes, okay. And after that, you have your villains then. So this would be Bullseye in the front here. I'm glad they knew exactly who to put in the front. This was the correct choice. So Bullseye has 14 cards then. Moving on to the 14 cards. So you have Bullseye himself again. So Bullseye, 3 stages, no double-sided cards. And then 14 of his regular stuff. Lady Bullseye, hey, okay. Deranged Bloodlust as the side scheme. So I guess each of them will have 1 side scheme maybe and maybe 1 minion. Let's see if I am correct. Electro 1, 2, 3, Whiplash as her minion, and 2 side schemes actually. Well, they're both copies of Charging Up. Hammerhead 1, 2, and 3 with Chameleon as his minion, and oh, he has a bunch of more other minions actually. He has quite a few minions. And Corporate Power and Power Struggle. Consolidated Power and Power Struggle. Now I'm starting to think that maybe Electro had other minions as well. No, he didn't, or she didn't. And neither did Bullseye. Okay, so I guess Hammerhead is the one with the minions if you want to play someone that wants to hunt minions, like, what's their name? Winter Soldier. Okay, so Purple Man has Firefighter. Civilian Influence. Ooh. Judge. Security Guard. Okay, so his minions are, like, civilians that you don't want to kill, I'm assuming. Yeah, when defeated, deal 3 damage to the defeating player's identity. Yeah, so discard the ally with the highest attack. So these guys have vulnerable, so you can discard them if they are stunned or confused. So he has minions that you want to defeat if you have status effects. Well, defeat via status effects then, and his side scheme is going to be Power of Suggestion. And then we have Typhoid Mary with her 1 A and B. Ooh, we have A and B side instead. Okay. So A, I'm assuming is, or A is Typhoid Mary, B is, or A, Typhoid Mary and Bloody Mary. Typhoid Mary, Bloody Mary. Okay, so this is going to be like expert or standard or expert then. Hit points 13 versus hit points 10. Yeah, so okay. Environment, Disturbed Psyche, and Establish Trust as the side scheme with Hand Lookout. I was not aware she was a hand person. Is she a hand person? I didn't really get that impression based off the comics that I've read, but I didn't read her like debut comic either. Okay, so those are going to be, these are very different then in terms of like what's in the deck. Like Hammerhead has actual minions, Purple Man has minions you want to defeat via status effects, and Typhoid Mary has got her own shit going on. Bullseye, I'm assuming, has more like just kill stuff, right? Lots of upgrades actually, lots of upgrades. And only 2-3 treacheries. Huh. Never mind. Maybe it's not just kill stuff. Okay. Is Electro more treachery driven than a little bit more? Alright, cool. So that's going to be the villain stuff aside from Kingpin. Kingpin has A1, or A1, B1, B2, A2, so I'm assuming expert stage 1, or basic stage, standard stage 1 and expert stage 1, whatever. King's Bandit 1A, 2A, 2-stage main scheme. There's an environment card. And then just a bunch of shit back here. What is all this stuff? Oh no, this is not all Kingpin stuff. Okay, so Kingpin. Up to 22. Okay, so Kingpin has 22 cards, and then these are the, obviously, the modular encounter sets, because there has to be some modular encounter sets. So you have Disasters, Mystic Incursion, Sinking Fury, Towering Inferno, Collapsing Buildings, Bystanders in Peril, followed by Cops, Quick Strike Vulnerable. Okay, so Cops are indeed the bad guys in this game. When Cops would scheme, it attacks the villain instead. What? Quick Strike Vulnerable. When Cop would scheme, it attacks the villain instead. When defeated, place 2 threats on the main scheme. Wow, that's interesting. So you could just like stay in alter ego mode and let the cop scheme? That's really interesting. What the heck? So you have 2 cops and you have a crooked cop. When defeated, the defeating player deals himself 1 face down encounter card. So this guy does not attack the villain, while the regular cops do attack the villain. Oh, I get it. Because the cops are like, hey, if you're in hero mode, we see you in hero mode and we're choosing to attack you. But we don't see you in hero mode, you're in civilian form, you're just some passing bystander, and now because there's no heroes on scene, we're actually going to do our freaking job and attack the villain. I see, okay. Gotcha. Alright, Wanted and Police Cordon, alright. Drive. Car stuff. Traffic Jam is a very funny thing for Drive. Carjacking. You have the Owl. Owl and Mr. Fish. And Swoop Down. Cold as Ice for Tombstone, which is weird because Tombstone is... Oh, Tombstone is not Hammerhead? I'm a little confused about that, but okay. I don't actually know Tombstone stuff. This is Tracksuit Mafia. The Clown. Tracksuit Bro. Tracksuit Mafia. Typhoid Mary. See no evil, hear no evil. So this is the player card for Daredevil and Echo, and then Typhoid Mary is a campaign card. 6 out of 6. Where the heck were the rest of the camp? Oh, these cards. So Typhoid Mary is the one. There's only one campaign card in here basically, aside from these environments. So yeah, not a lot of campaign cards, and the rest of these cards are like actual cards you want to use and stuff. Cool. All right. And now, of course, we have to move on to the heroes. So I guess we're gonna start with Echo because she was on top. Now, I believe my speculation about Echo was that she was going to be able to get boost cards. Like whenever the villain reveals a boost card, that you could tuck them under Echo. And that's what I predicted she would be able to do. And she could like actually use those boost cards. But I don't remember what she actually does. I can see she's in protection. So let's see Echo. This is 222. I do remember they both have 222 as their stat line. 222, Defender, Martial Artist, hit points 9, Watch and Learn. Response: after a player plays a basic or aspect or basic event, tuck that event under here from that player's discard pile. Then if there are more than 3 tucked cards here, discard all but 3 of those cards. So she's got a little silk stuff going on. And then for her alter ego, Civilian 3, Recovery, Practice Makes Perfect, interrupt when you change to hero form, search your deck for an aspect or basic card and add it to your hand. You have Upgrade Innate Reflexes starting. You may add this card to your hand before drawing your starting hand. Your hero gets +1 defense. Oh, that's right. This is new category of cards, I think, where... Okay, so this is just a armored vest, except you get to start with it. That's pretty cool. I suppose I should like zoom in for these. But yeah, I'm all for anything that gives me more defense. So, Ally Daredevil, Matt Murdock, 2 attack, 3 HP. Defender Martial Artist, response after Daredevil uses a basic power, reduce the cost of the next event you play this round by 1. Wow. That's pretty good for like... Oh, that's pretty good in general. I was gonna say that you could use him pretty well with the leadership card that like puts you in Cameo. Cameo is the one I was thinking of. Like, that's a pretty good Cameo target. But just in general, that's like really good. Photographic Reflexes. This is an event. I'm assuming there's going to be more than one. There are way more than one. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 copies of Photographic Reflexes. And I believe... No, they don't have the same symbols. So it's 2 energy, 2 mental, 2 physical. I'm going to assume they have the same effects, though, if they're called the same thing. If you're in hero form, you can discard Photographic Reflexes from your hand to play an event tucked under Echo as if it were in your hand. So that's why you tuck stuff under Echo, then. Reduce the cost to play this event by 2. That's huge! You cannot trigger Echo's Watch and Learn ability for that event. Reduce it by 2? That's ridiculous. So you want to... Wow. That's really freaking strong. That's, like, incredibly strong. Okay, so Study the Tape. There are 2 copies of Study the Tape, and they have the same symbol. This is going to be 0 cost event. Wow, I'm surprised that this is not like... They have to match the symbol that's like on this card. You're just free to choose any event. That's crazy. Search any player's discard pile for 1 aspect, 1 basic event, or 1 copy of Photographic Reflexes and add that card to your hand. Well, you're probably going to choose Photographic Reflexes then. So you can just play whatever, like, you have 3 choices from the cards that's underneath Echo. Although suppose... Wait, this is a 0 cost event. Search any player's discard pile for 1 aspect event, 1 basic event, or 1 copy of Photographic Reflexes. That's crazy. So then with Study the Tape, even though you just played a card, using it for 2 less, it goes to your graveyard, then you can use Study the Tape to bring it back into your... That's crazy. 1 cost support, the Res location, alter ego action, exhaust the Res, heal X damage from Maya Lopez, where X is the highest cost cards tucked under her. That's pretty cool, actually. So you can go from 3 recovery to like 7 recovery or whatever if you have a 4 cost event tucked under there. That's pretty cool. American Sign Language, 2 cost upgrade, skill, hero, resource, exhaust this card to generate a wild resource for an event being played by any player. That's nice. 1 cost upgrade, choreography. I'm assuming there's only 1. Yep. Okay. Skill, exhaust discard, shuffle 1 aspect or basic event from your discard pile into your deck. 1 aspect or basic event from your discard pile into your deck. If you are in alter ego form, draw 1 card. Okay. 1 cost upgrade. You can do this every single turn. So that's... yeah, that's good. That's really, really good. Wow, Echo's really, really good so far. 2 cost upgrade, Echo's Katana, weapon, restricted, hero response attack. After you play an event, exhaust Echo's Katana, deal damage to an enemy equal to that event's printed cost. This attack gains piercing. Oh my... What the heck? That's so... Why is everything about her so good? 3 cost upgrade, improvisation, skill, hero response after you play an event. If it has the following traits, attack, heal 1 damage from Echo. Defense, remove 1 threat from a scheme. Thwart, deal 1 damage to an enemy. If it's an attack, you get to heal yourself. If it's a defense event, you get to thwart. And if it's a thwart, you get to deal damage. That's... Okay, so she actually has quite a few upgrades that you like really want to have. So you want to be playing your upgrades. And I suppose if you want to be playing 2 cost events, that makes your opening, or the beginning of your game actually quite expensive. Like, you won't actually get to do much besides playing your upgrades and stuff. But then afterwards, you're built like a killing machine, and then you can just go ham. Okay. So she's actually quite a build-heavy character, who then turns into an event-based character. 2 cost upgrade, muscle memory. Hero action, exhaust this card, add an event tucked under Echo to your hand. Why would you want to do that? I suppose if you don't... If you don't have one of your 6 copies of photographic reflexes or study to tape in your hand, I suppose that's why you would want to do that, but... Although it is free. Once you play the upgrade, you can then do this for free every... Wow, yeah, okay. So that is Echo's cards. She seems pretty busted, if I'm going to be completely honest. And then we move on to the protection cards. This is See No Evil, Fear No Evil, Supportive Training, Energy, blah, blah, blah. Here's your... I don't want to look at any of those. Okay. So, Army of one cost event with a star. Increase the cost to play this card by 1 for each ally you control. Hero action, ready your hero. Ooh. Hence the name Army of 1. You are 1 person, 2 cards to ready yourself. I don't know if Echo wants that, because her stat line is only 222, and it doesn't seem like she... It kind of feels like she wants to play events more than she wants to ready, but sure. I suppose it doesn't hurt. And then 3 copies of Get Their Attention, 2 cost event, 2 cost event, Defense Thwart, Hero Interrupt, Defense Thwart. When an enemy initiates an attack, remove 3 threats from a scheme. I don't think that's good. I'll probably take that out. 3 copies of In Harm's Way, 3 cost event, Attack Thwart, increase the cost to play this card by 1 for each ally you control. So that's another one of those ally tax cards, I guess. Hero action, Attack Thwart, deal X damage to an enemy and remove X threat from a scheme where X is your defense. Wow. Deal X damage to an enemy and thwart X where X is your defense. So you're starting with 2 if you have the Army of 1. What the heck? Where'd it go? Wasn't there... Ah, there it is. Innate reflexes. If you have the innate reflexes, you start with 3. I'm assuming you're going to get your armored vest. You go up to 4. Nightcrawler can go up to like 7 or whatever. Okay, so... Okay, sure. That seems really powerful. Though it is a 3 cost event, but Echo can play it for 1 if she already... Yeah, that's crazy. 3 copies of Powerful Punch, Hero Interrupt, Attack Defense. When an enemy initiates an attack, deal 4 damage to the enemy. We've seen this. This is a reprint of a card. Don't really like it. I don't really see the point of it. The Best Offense, 1 cost upgrade, temporary. Your hero gets +1 defense. Use your defense in place of your thwart and attack. Ignore any modifiers to your thwart and attack. Wow. The Best Offense is a good defense. And you get +1 defense. In theory, you could play all 3 of these in 1 turn to get you +3 defense total, up to 5, probably 6, probably 7. And then you could do stuff. You could like use your activation to deal 7 damage, and I suppose that's why you would want the Army of 1 to ready yourself if you have the best offense. Okay, I'm starting to see it. 1 cost upgrade, Ronin. Title, while you do not control any allies, your hero gets +1 defense and gains Retaliate 1. They really put a lot of extra defense cards in this deck. What the heck? Okay, standalone, 1 cost upgrade, 3 copies of it, 1 per player. Hero Interrupt when an enemy attacks you before any defender is declared. If you do not control any allies, exhaust standalone, ready your hero. Ooh. Max 1 per player condition when you exhaust standalone. Oh, you don't have to discard this. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Echo really... Huh. Now I'm conflicted as to whether or not you even want to use Daredevil. In the pre-built deck, I think it actually would be better to not use Daredevil. And then you have the See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Attack Thwart, Team Up, Daredevil and Echo, max 1 per deck. Choose 2 of the following. You may choose the same option twice, deal 3 damage to an enemy, or remove 3 threats from a scheme. So for 2, you could deal 6 damage, you could thwart 6. Yeah, pretty good card. Superpower Training, 1 cost player side scheme. Victory 0. When defeated, each player may search their deck and discard power for an identity-specific upgrade and put it into play. I don't know if I've seen that card before, but that seems really, really good. And then you have your Energy, Genius, and Strength. So Energy is going to be Iron Fist. Genius is Matt Murdock. And then Strength is Jessica Jones. Okay. Alright, well, that is Echo's deck. She seems really, really freaking strong. So, Daredevil seems to be in Justice, and I'm going to find his obligation, put that out of the way. Don't really want to look at that until I see it. Daredevil is a 2/2/2 with 10 HP, a little bit more than Echo. Defender, Martial Artist, Superhuman Senses. Action, play the top card of your Sense deck as if it were in your hand, paying its cost. You have a Sense deck. That sounds familiar. What's the Matt Murdock? Matt Murdock begins the game with a sense deck. See rule page 26. Oh, and 3 recovery for this guy. Page 26 sense deck. Daredevil's superhuman senses represent his sense deck. To create a sense deck, shuffle all 5 of the Daredevil sense cards together, place it face up next to your identity, and you can look through it at any time, but you cannot change its order. The ability on Daredevil's hero cards allows you to play the top card of the sense deck as if it were in your hand by playing its cost. When a sense upgrade leaves play, its force interrupt on both sides of Daredevil's identity card causes the upgrade to be placed at the bottom of the sense deck. Okay, so it goes from the top to the bottom after it leaves play. You can play... What is it? Action, plays the top card of the sense deck as if it were in your hand, paying its cost. This is not 1 per turn, so you can actually do it multiple times a turn. When a sense upgrade would leave play, place it on the bottom of the sense deck instead. And then when a sense upgrade would leave play, place... Okay, so you have no alter ego ability, but that's made up for... hand size of 6 and 5. I'm going to assume that's the same with Echo, because I would have remembered if I hated her hand size. So, yeah, you have 5 sense cards. You have the acute tactility. Attached to enemy or scheme, when you defeat the attached enemy, remove the last threat from the attached scheme, discard this card to ready your identity, and it costs 1 to ready your identity basically by defeating stuff, but you always have access to it basically. That's interesting, and it has the regular card backs as well, not the faded side ones. Enhanced Offulcation, I'm assuming this is smell, attached to an enemy or side scheme. When you defeat the attached enemy or remove the last threat from the attached scheme, discard this card, reduce the cost of the next card you play this phase by 2. Ooh. I'm not sure if that's as good. I mean, you could, it's basically a resource generator for the next turn you, like, spend... No, you're not spending 2 cards, you're spending 1 card, because this is in your sense deck. So you're not spending 2 cards from your hand, you're spending 1 card from your hand, to reduce the cost of the next card you play by 2 from your hand. Oh, actually, that's way better. Okay. Heightened Hearing, attached to an enemy. Hero interrupt defense. When an attached enemy attacks, discard that attack. That enemy gets -3 attack for that attack. You become the target of the attack. That's pretty good. Radar... Oh, so these are basically like, you can change any 1 card into your hand into one of these as a 0-cost card effectively. These are effectively 0-cost cards that don't take up space in your hand, and you don't have to draw them. That's actually wild. Okay, Radar Sense. 1 cost upgrade attached to an enemy. After you attack the attached enemy, discard this card to deal 3 damage to that enemy. And Superior Taste, 1 cost up. So this is a 0-cost 3 damage. That's crazy. Attached to a scheme. After you thwart attached scheme, discard this card. Remove 2 threat from that scheme. After you thwart the attached scheme, discard this card. Remove 2 threat from that scheme. Sure. Okay, so wow, okay. Yeah, that's crazy. That's actually pretty crazy. And they start face up, so you don't yeah, that's crazy. Alright, up next we have Electra, aka Electra Nachios. 3 cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 HP, defender, martial artist, force interrupt hero. When Electra would take consequential damage, Daredevil takes that damage instead. Okay, so you could attack with Electra, but then... So she's basically 2 attack for free, but she'll deal 1 damage to Daredevil. That also makes her a pretty bad target for cameo, because there's no Daredevil probably. And in that case, she would just be doing 2 damage for 1 consequential with only 3 HP. That's not that great. We have 2 copies of Cross-Examination, 1 cost event. Hero action, attack, deal 3 damage to an enemy. For each upgrade attached to the enemy, you may deal 1 additional damage to it. Ooh. Oh, so Daredevil's like an attachment, right, because he has his sense deck, which attaches to stuff. And then it's like, the better you're able to sense them, the more you're able to deal damage to them. Gotcha. Okay. We have 2 copies of Deposition. I'm assuming this is the same thing, but for Thwart. Alter Ego Action Thwart. What? You may choose any upgrade from the Sense deck and play it, ignoring its resource cost. Do not shuffle. Remove 2 threats from a scheme. Wow. Wow, Daredevil has direct support for thwarting while in Alter Ego. I mean, it's only 2 for 2 cards, which is not great, but you also get to play a Sense card from anywhere, I guess, so that's better. Okay. 2 cost event, Living Lie Detector Thwart. Action, remove 2 thwarts from a scheme. For each upgrade attached to that scheme, you may remove 1 additional thwart from it. Yeah, okay. So that's the version of thwart version of cross-examination. Raising Hell, 1 copy of a 2 cost event attack. Hero action attack, deal 2 damage to each enemy for each upgrade attached to that enemy. Deal 2 damage to each enemy for each upgrade attached to that enemy. 3 damage instead if Daredevil has the aerial trait. To each enemy. Wow, okay. So you really want to be playing upgrades on enemies with Daredevil. Like that is his shtick. Is that you really want to be doing that. 0 cost player side scheme. Thwart cannot be removed from this scheme except by Daredevil or Matt Murdock, and this does not have victory, like Jubilee's shopping spree side scheme. I'm saying she also doesn't have that. 4 threat. When defeated, you may move any number of sense upgrades into play. Wait, you may move any number of sense upgrades in play to other cards they can attach to. Choose any number of upgrades from the sense deck and put them into play. Do not shuffle. So you basically get to say, I have 5 sense cards from anywhere in play or in the deck, and I get to move them around to wherever I want. I mean, you can't move them back into the sense deck, but yeah. For 4 thwart, I suppose if you really need to move the threat, I guess, but that's not really going to be my priority. 2 cost support, Foggy Nelson, alter ego action, exhaust Foggy Nelson, remove 2 threats from a scheme. Okay, so Daredevil really has support for thwarting while in alter ego. 1 cost support, Karen Page, persona, action, exhaust Karen Page, shuffle 1 Daredevil card from your discard pile into your deck. If you are in alter ego form, draw 1 card. So that's kind of like Echo's choreography. Yeah. Karen Page can do a Daredevil specific card. Choreography can do a aspect or basic event. And then you have Nelson and Murdock, 1 cost support, and response after an attorney character or support defeats a side scheme, confuse an enemy. Okay, so Foggy Nelson is an attorney. I just want to make sure of that. But yes, okay, so after a character or after... This does not exhaust Nelson and Murdock. This is just any time an attorney character or supports defeats a side scheme, you can confuse an enemy. So technically, I guess that... She-Hulk does not have attorney in her hero side, I don't think. So if you could find some way for She-Hulk to thwart in alter ego, I guess... Oh, she does have cards. She has very bad cards that can allow her to thwart in alter ego. Okay. 2 cost support, Sister Maggie persona. Matt Murdock gets +3 recovery, up to 6 recovery. Wow, response. After you recover, discard a status card from your identity. So you also get the benefits of a, what's the therapist card? I can't remember her name, the doctor card. But you also get the benefits of that as well. 1 cost upgrade, Daredevil's Billy Club, item, weapon, restricted. Daredevil gets +1 attack, so he goes up to 3 attack. And hero action, return this card to your hand from play. Choose, deal 1 damage to an enemy, or Daredevil gets the aerial trait until the end of the round. So then that's how you would use the Raising Hell to give him the aerial trait for Raising Hell. 2 cost upgrade, Man Without Fear. Title, hero action, exhaust this card and deal 1 damage to Daredevil and choose. Choose 1 upgrade from the sense deck and play it. Exhaust this card and deal 1 damage to Daredevil. Okay. Choose any upgrade from the sense deck and play, ignoring its resource cost. Do not shuffle or ready Daredevil. Very versatile. Daredevil is very versatile. He can do a lot of stuff. He can target a lot of stuff. And he has a lot of possible like play patterns. Like not play patterns, but like sequencing he can do, I guess. But he really wants to have upgrades on enemies, and that makes it so that his deck kind of wants to have upgrades you can put onto enemies. So I guess as we get more of those kind of cards, Daredevil would get better, but at the moment there's really only aggression cards that I know of that can really do that. But I'm assuming that these justice cards will have some of that too, because otherwise it wouldn't make much sense to make that part of his deck. So let's see what these justice cards are. 4 cost ally, blind spot, Sam Chung. This guy is like all about Chinatown, I believe, and he kind of showed up he had a bad things happened to him basically. So 4 cost ally, 2 thwart, 2 attack, 3 HP, genius martial artist, response after blind spot thwarts, confuse an enemy with an upgrade attached. After blind spot thwarts, confuse an enemy with an upgrade attack. Yeah, okay, so this is probably gonna have upgrades that you can put on enemies. Cloak, Typhoon Tyrone Johnson, 3 cost ally, 2 towards 1 attack, no consequential damage, and 2 HP. And yep, Dagger is the next one. Terrible show. Horrendously bad show. I know a lot of people were like, oh, that was such a good show. It was like, they had so much chemistry and whatever and blah, blah, blah. It was such a tacky freaking show. Like, horrendously bad show. I cannot believe how bad of a show Cloak and Dagger was. And I watched like both seasons. I believe there were 2 seasons and I watched both of them and they were not great. Anyways, Action, Exhaust Cloak, and they were a lot better in the Runaways though. Runaways was actually a pretty good show. They gotta bring that back. 2 Dort, 1 attack, 2 HP. Action, Exhaust Cloak, and spend 2 energy resources. Find Dagger and put her into play. Ooh. Oh, but he has an acceleration icon. Oh, so that's his like downside. Although I suppose that makes him really good with Wonder Man. So what is Dagger then? 3 cost ally, 1 Dort to attack with 2 consequential in both with 3 HP. Cloak loses each acceleration icon. Okay, so that if you spend the 2, then he has no acceleration icon and he's basically free to use. The downside is that Dagger is now the one that's basically taking that damage because she has 2 consequential damage. So Cloak loses each acceleration icon. If Cloak is in play, Dagger takes -1 consequential damage after she uses a basic power. Never mind. So it's basically free. Cloak is basically free and Dagger is basically normal. 2 attack, 3 HP. Makes her better basically than Elektra in some sense. Daredevil does not have any actual healing, does he? You can damage him to ready him, but I don't see... Yeah, he doesn't have any actual healing, aside from Sister Maggie giving him the +3 recovery, so... Ah, man, Elektra... Don't know if I want to use Elektra. So, 3 cost ally, Ghost Rider. Johnny Blaze version of Ghost Rider. I know there's like 3 versions of him. 1 Dort to attack. One of those versions of Ghost Rider is Punisher, I think. 2 attack, 3 HP, Midnight Sun. Interrupt. When Ghost Rider attacks an enemy, spend a energy resource, 2 energy resources instead if that enemy is the villain to confuse that enemy. That's pretty good. You get to attack and confuse them for 1 energy resource or 2. Yeah, that's pretty good. Know your enemy, 1 cost event with a star. Thwart, discount 1 martial artist. Discount 1. Discount traits. When a player plays a card with a discount X card, its resource cost is reduced by X if the player's identity has a specific trait. If more than one of those traits is specified and the player's identity has at least one of those specific traits, the cost is reduced by X. Okay. I suppose I probably should have checked to see if there were any new keywords, but yeah, that's the new keyword for discount. So basically this is free if you're playing a martial artist, and Daredevil is only a martial artist in hero form. However, this is only a hero action, so that doesn't really matter. So it's free for Daredevil. Hero action, Dwart, remove 1 threat from a scheme, remove 1 threat from a scheme. It's for 0. If you have some sense stuff going on, I guess yeah, it works in Daredevil's deck. I'm not sure if I would put him in any other person's deck, but we'll see what the other martial artists are like. Although I suppose we know one of them is, ooh. Does this count as their cost if it's discounted? Like if Echo has something that increases or deals damage based off the, like let's say the res is in play and know your enemy is underneath Echo, does this count as costing 1 for the purposes of the res so she could heal 1 damage from herself, or does it cost 0? I gotta look that up. So, 0 cost event, or not event, player side scheme, de-escalation, victory 0. When defeated, remove an acceleration token from play. 4 cost, wow. Second best, third best player side scheme in the game. 4th best player side scheme in the game. No, there's actually quite a few very, very good player side schemes. You know what? Never mind. Not that great. Okay. With what we know about the player side schemes that are like existing, it's cool card. 0 cost upgrade, chance encounter, attached to a side scheme, max 1 per scheme. When attached side scheme is defeated, search your deck and discard power for an ally and add it to your hands. We have Ghost Rider, Dagger, Cloak, Blind Spot. I guess you could use it to search for Cloak and then get Dagger out for free. Sure. Yeah, okay. Did Cloak find her from... Exhaust Cloak and spend 2 resources, find Dagger and put her into play. Okay, so you find her from anywhere. So, yeah, okay. Legal troubles. 1 cost upgrade. Discount attorney or police attached to a minion. Max 1 per minion. Attached minion gets -2 scheme. Ooh. Ooh, that's fun. That's actually quite a lot of fun. Oh, Tigra is a police. So then you can stick them on the enemies so that they stick around when you switch over to alter ego form. And then they don't get the scheme, so that... Ooh. Okay, Justice Tigra might be an option. Although Aggression Tigra is actually like incredible, so I don't. Kind of hard to move away from Aggression Tigra. 2 cost upgrade, move in shadow, discount martial artist or spy. Wow, we're getting a lot of discount cards in this deck. I'm surprised there were no discount cards in Echo's deck, considering how big of a keyword this seems to be. 2 cost upgrade, move in shadow, discount martial artist or spy. So that would be Nick Fury. I'm assuming I haven't played her, but what's her name? The girl everyone thinks is super hot in the earlier Avenger movies. Wow, I cannot remember her name at the moment. But yeah, I know for a while she was like the Daredevil comics that were called Daredevil, like the subtitle was "And the Adventures of What's Her Name," and then it was just her basically and no Daredevil. But yeah, move in shadow, 2 cost upgrade, discount martial artist or spy, temporary, max 1 per player. Response stored after you play a card, including this one, remove 1 threat from a scheme. That's pretty... Oh, it's only max 1 per player though, so you can't stack like 3 of them and just remove a ton of threat at once. Discount 1 though, so it costs 2 cards from your hand, and then that doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel great. Although for Daredevil, it makes more sense because then you can play. If you have 5 cards in your hand, one of them is this card. You use one of those cards for move and shadow, and you use the rest of the 3 of them for putting out your senses. You're still considered playing those cards. So then these basically cost 0, so like 3 more cards are being played effectively after you play the move and shadow. And that makes it so you can remove 4 threat total while getting all your senses out, I guess. It still doesn't feel great, so. 2 cost upgrade, stealth training, 3 copies of this, max 1 per player, or play under any player's control, max 1 per player. Response after you thwart and exactly defeat a side scheme. Exhaust stealth training, stun an enemy. I'm gonna assume that means you don't do any excess thwart. Did we see this yet? Exact defeat. I'm not sure if we've seen this exact defeat thing before. However, when I'm looking at the living lie detector, it says remove 2 threats from a scheme. For each upgrade attached to that scheme, you may remove 1 additional threat from it. So that makes it work really well with this exact defeat thing. And stun an enemy after you exactly defeat a side scheme, so that makes Daredevil pretty powerful with this. So then we have Stick, 2 cost support. Martial Artist Persona, interact when a friendly martial artist character uses a basic power, choose friendly martial artist character. Exhaust Stick, that character gets +1 to their basic power for this use, or that character gets -1 to a basic power for this use. Ready Stick. Oh, so you can use this to like move your stuff around. So you would basically need 3 martial artists to maximize the use of Stick to give a total... Yeah, you would need 3 martial artists. So first you have one character uses a martial... One martial artist uses a power, you exhaust Stick to get them +1. A second character uses a martial power. You give them -1 to ready Stick. And then a third martial artist uses a power to exhaust Stick again to give them +1. And I'm assuming that like, oh, I have 3 attack trying to defeat this enemy with 2 health. Like I can then use Stick to give them the -1 so that they still defeat it, but then I can give that +1 to another martial artist. But that's really reliant on having a lot of martial artists out. And how many martial artists do we even have? Martial artist, defender, midnight sun. So there's only blind spot in here, along with Electra. So Stick's gonna be kind of hard to use in this default deck if you don't... To maximize its use in this default deck if you don't have, if you don't change it at all. So, 3 copies of 0 cost upgrade, contingency planning. 1, max 1 per player, you may play the upgrade tucked under here as if it were in your hand. Choose one upgrade in your hand that can be attached to a minion or side scheme. Tuck that upgrade under here to a maximum of 1. So you can save an upgrade for later, basically. Okay. 0 cost upgrade. Fine card. Yeah, it's a fine card. And then Dance with the Devil. This is not the Echo upgrade, obviously, because Echo is not in Daredevil's set. We have Elektra instead. So this is the team up for Daredevil and Elektra, max 1 per deck. Attached to an enemy, hero action attack, discard, deal 3 damage to the attached enemy, and this has an amplify icon. I'm a little confused as to why you would want an amplify icon and why you would not just immediately discard this to deal the 3 damage, but it's a 0 cost card, so sure. Plus it's an upgrade. So I guess that, yeah, it's an upgrade, so you can like spend time doing upgrade stuff to increase damage and whatnot. Yeah, okay, fine stuff. Also, I read through this pamphlet again while I was waiting for my camera to charge, and it turns out things make much more sense when you actually take the time to read things. So basically, the scenario progression is that when you lose a fight, right, if you lose the stop the presses, right, you don't then lose it like in the campaign's progression. You can try it again if you want to. However, every time you try a fight, you have to choose 2 cards to progress to the next one, basically. So that keeps on going until all of them are completed, and you never play Stop the Presses with the Stop the Presses environment. This is for after you do the Stop the Presses like fight, that then gets added to like you have passed or failed it. And then place, for step 11, place the environment card for each completed scenario onto the completed side, and for each failed scenario face up, basically resolve the setup abilities on each of these cards. So basically, once you have done Stop the Presses, you have either failed or you have completed it, and then you get this bonus for every fight after that. So if you then do the Raft Breakout, for the Raft Breakout fight, you then have the Stop the Presses environment in play that does the setup, depending on if you have failed or passed it. So that's how that works. Which makes much more sense and is a much more interesting idea, I think. Being like, yes, you can try it again, however, the villains are still progressing while you're trying to do this thing, right? You're doing a pretty bad job of it. So that seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. It doesn't seem like it's going to be very intrusive either in terms of like completely changing the experience of the game. Like you're not adding... Actually, are you? Give each identity a tough status card. After you resolve mulligan, each player may search their deck and discard power for an upgrade and add it to their hand in expert mode, whatever. After resolving mulligans, you may add a support, you may add an ally. Yeah, so this is not like the, I suppose put a daily bugle support that has not been removed from the campaign into play from the Stop the Presses encounter set. This is the only one that's like adding a card from outside of your deck into like your play area, as opposed to the spy one. What was it called? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like that campaign allowed you to add cards from other aspects into your deck, which basically completely changes the viability of your deck and stuff and made you significantly stronger depending on what you did, like what I did. So I feel like playing the campaign for this is not going to be a very different experience from playing each individual fight. It just adds a little bit more like, now we have some more flavor, we have more pressure going on as to what we're going to play next, etc., etc. So I'm excited to see what this campaign is like and to play that next time. I'm probably going to start with Daredevil. I love Echo, don't get me wrong, I love Echo. Like, Echo is a great character. Her comic, I highly recommend it if you can get the saga of Maya Lopez. So yeah, see you next time when I play Daredevil in the Fear No Evil campaign.